Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely stream deck. For more information about the stream deck, the link is in the description below.
Good evening and welcome to Leg 7 of our North American Championship here at Apex Online Racing. Before we go headlong into tonight's race, let's take a quick look and remind ourselves of the standings as we left them before our season break. At the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Lucas Jahn extended their lead at the top of the table over their teammate by taking the checkered flag. Igor took their third podium of the season, which now puts them ahead of Fizzymon in the battle for third, who themselves missed out on a podium by just 0.3 of a second. Jack's 5th place finish leapfrogged them 4 places up the league, and Steph's consistency has meant that they've also moved up 2 spots and are now close on the heels of Jack. Tazik and Giovanni failed to finish, but they're still within touching distance of that 6th place in the league for now. Sabbath's 2nd points finish of the season brings home another 8 points, moving them ahead of Firefox, Raffa, Murphy and Wilhelm, with Shentar only fending them off thanks to getting across the line in 8th place in Austria. Down the back of the table, what was a close finish on the night ended up being a firm 9th for Bulldog after the stewards awarded Ramon a 5-second penalty for resetting to track, and that penalty has also meant that Bulldog has overtaken them in the league. Over in the Constructors, Aston Martin continue their podium streak with the closest call that they've had so far in Austria. Alpine's 4th and 5th starts to open up a gap to McLaren, who themselves have massively extended their lead over Haas in 4th. Red Bull's failure to finish at their home GP has meant that their consistent junior team, AlphaTauri, is now just 1 point behind them after overtaking Mercedes, who both crashed out incredibly early in Austria due to technical failures. Sabbath's 8 points gave Alfa Romeo their first of the season, pushing them ahead of Ferrari and Williams, but who knows what strategy changes our teams have made over our first season break. It's time to find out as we get ready to head to Silverstone for round number 7. I'm Tipster, I will be your commentator for tonight. Just to make you aware, we are playing things by ear tonight. There have been some desync issues across some of the other leagues. We're keeping an eye on them. If it gets too bad, the race is going to be red flagged and we will restart. If it gets too bad again, the race will be completely abandoned. So just bear that in mind. Bear with us tonight. We are dealing with the technical limitations of the game and trying to make do with the tools we have available. And our drivers are getting ready in the lobby. We have 18 of our 20 ready to go. Some information from the steward's office, by the way. A qualifying ban for StarCraft after effectively blocking on track. So they're not going to be taking part in qualifying, and they'll be starting from the back of the grid tonight. Although they are now, I believe, apologies, a permanent driver for Mercedes. Also on the grid tonight, we've got Kimler racing for Alfa Romeo. And I believe we've got someone in for Bulldog as well, the one true somebody or other. But in terms of how our league is shaping up, this is going to be race 7. Ignore what it says on the screen about a social race. If this race goes to completion, this will be counting towards the standings tonight. And will be taking us further into our season. It's going to be an interesting night tonight. We have seen potential from both Igor in the McLaren and Lars in the Haas that you can get ahead of the Aston Martins, both last week and our first week as well. Looks like our drivers are readying up and getting ready to go. And we're going to be loading in very shortly down to Silverstone. Okay. So what can we expect tonight? Well, our drivers are going to want a reasonable level of downforce to keep the car planted through Copse Stowe, and they're going to want to be nimble around the technical village section. This is an 18-turn, 5.9 kilometer lap with one of the longest and slowest pit lanes in the calendar. So a pit here is costly, incredibly costly. Most of our drivers are going to be trying to do a one-stop strategy tonight, and with the mediums being 4/10 slower during qualifying, it might be worth them trying to set a good time on the mediums first. But we'll wait and see what our drivers decide to do, whatever is in their best interest, as we are loading in to Britain, to Silverstone. And it looks like it's going to be a wet qualifying to start. A wet qualifying to start. If we head over to the track now, we can see that that rain is coming down. So it looks like our drivers are going to be setting their times either on the wets or the inters. Everybody's lining up on inters at the moment. Let's have a look at the weather forecast and see what that says at the moment as our first driver heads out. It looks like it's one of the Red Bulls. It's probably Baffer. Apologies, I'm just getting some information from our weather center. Bear with me. So, according to our weather center, it looks like it's going to be light rain throughout the race, throughout qualifying, and then the race there's going to be light cloud with only a 5% chance of rain. So that's not 100% certain, as we well know here. Okay. Let's get down to business and have a look at what's going on here. There's a spin from the Red Bull. StarCraft retiring because of that qualifying ban. As I get these final things prepared. Where are we? Okay, let's have a look, shall we? Oh. So let's ride on board with Ramon as they go through their first lap. Pressing the C button, aren't you working? Apologies, let's try that again, this time with the Alpine of Fizimon, as they come round the bend into their hot lap. So, down the Hamilton straight, into turn 1, Abbey. Full throttle and a slight right to get a good line into farm. Brushing the apex there. Village section is where drivers will need to be gentle on the throttle into the loop. Where again, they'll need to show patience before going flat out through Aintree into the Wellington Straight, which is one of the first of our 2 DRS zones tonight. Into turn 6, where you're going to want to enter wide to get through the apex, through one of the best overtaking opportunities on the circuit, into the sweeping right-hander of Loftfield, before heading down the old home straight just here, as Jackie Jack sets the best time, a representative pace of 1:38 before Firefox goes with a 1:37. Flat out through Cops here and weaving through Maggots and Beckett, making sure not to take too much curb before, well, in this case, not opening up the DRS, but when it comes to race time, DRS is going to be live down the hangar straight here. Stowe is where we're going to see a battle of the late breakers just here. A lot of cars run wide trying to take advantage of the DRS that they've just got. Then it's hard on the brakes into Vale before easing on the throttle through Club and round this right-hander and across the line. As it stands, Flavio and Lucas Yarn have the best times on the board so far. And the one true Morty has already retired, as has StarCraft, as has Goku. Shentar, I should say. Some drivers choosing not to risk it. Let's ride on board with Jackie Jack, who is currently improving by about 5/10. They make their way through our third sector. And across the line here, a 1:37 manages to hold them in position. As a Firefox manages to overtake Tazik. Oh, and it looks like I believe Kimmler was pushed slightly onto the curb there. Let's see what our Williams are doing. We have Lundqvist, who is coming into the pits. We've got Murphy's Law, who has set a time of 1:38.8, sorry. Kimmler yet to set a time, but out on track. And has gone red. This is going to be an attempt at putting a time on the board. It looks like the rain is starting to ease up a little bit. Maybe they can get a little bit more purchase through there. As Wilhelm sets a 1:43.0, a time on the board nonetheless. As Kimmler closes out Sector 1 with a 29.7. That seems to be faster than most. In fact, it's gone purple for me right here. So Kimmler could be looking to attack pole here. They keep this pace up. Flavio reaffirming their position at the top of the board, with Igor sliding in between the two Aston Martins with a 1:35.5. As we cross the Sector 2 line coming out of Maggots and Beckett. And it's a 39.2. Still on pace. Long as they can hold on to it through Sector 3, they could be putting in a very good time here. We'd be looking top 3. Just needs to make sure that they hold on to it through club. And across the line, P2, 1:35.1. Flavio going sub 1:35. As Steph Farrell coming through now to set their first time. Steph hasn't had a finish outside of the points so far this season. They are definitely one to watch. They are certainly consistent. And that's why they are as high up the league as they are right now. As they go P12 of 1:37.2, I think they know that they can do better than that. I think there's still pace in that car. As Kimmler sets a 29.7 through Sector 1. So could be looking to go sub 1:35 here. .38.9 through Sector 2. Right on board. They make it through the last couple of turns through Vale and Club. This could be very competitive here. And Kimmler goes pole with a 34.5. 0.4 faster than the Brazilian in the Aston Martin. Igor is coming around on their outlap. Also, we've got Lucas Yarn, who is looking to set a time as well. They are currently a couple of tenths up on their fastest lap. If they keep this up, they could be going P3. Yellow flags all over the shop as drivers try to regain ERS. And Lucas Yarn goes P3, 1:35.3. Go to our friend Giovanni Santos in the Red Bull, who is starting their next lap. Well, they might be coming in. How's that fuel gauge looking? Got a few laps still left in there. Oh, nope, nope. Taking it incredibly wide through there. And already 3 tenths down on their best time. Let's take a look at Firefox, who is about to go on their next hot lap. Come in, fitted a fresh set of inters. And unfortunately, invalidate the lap going across the line. Which means this is all for naught right now. Let's head over to the Mercedes of Tazik, 30.6 Sector 1, 39.5 Sector 2. Doesn't look like there's going to be much of an improvement here, but let's wait and see as they make their way through the last couple of turns. We're coming up to the 5-minute mark now, and they were 1/100th of a second slower. Maybe this time round I'll have a better shot at it. We've got Igor and Lars on hot laps, as well as Flavio probably looking to retake the lead here. Let's ride on board with Flavio right now, who's put in a 29.8 Sector 1. 2/10 down on Kimmler already, but still improving their time. 39.1 Sector 2. Unfortunately slower, and they've invalidated the lap. Igor now coming into Sector 2, into Brooklands and Lutfield. 29.8 sees them in good contention to improve. It's Lucas Yarn as flat. No, okay, that hasn't changed. That's fine. Last right behind them on a 29.9, and then we have Fizzymon setting a 30 dead through Sector 1. .39.3 through Sector 2, slightly slower than their best. But they're still going to take 3/10 off their time. They keep this up, they'll be going P3. And there we have it. P3, 1:35.2. Flavio's out on track. Kimmler is performing an outlap. Who else have we got out on the field right now? A lot of people trying to get the last few laps in before the end of qualifying. A lap round here. Oh! As Igor spins off the circuit. A lap round here in the dry is about a low 130, high 129. That's the kind of times we're going to be expecting to see during the race at some point. Let's head over to the Alpine of Fizzymon, who is improving, but only by about 4/100ths through Sector 2. Ahead of them is, I believe, that is Steph ahead of them. Could be wrong. But Tazik goes ahead of them with a 1:35.8.11, just 0.007 of a second, separating 6th and 7th right now. And Lucas Yarn has fallen down to 5th, as Igor and Lars Algera have both overtaken their best time. There are yellow flags all over the place right now. It looks like one of the Alpha Tauris has spun off and is waiting for one of the Williams to go past. Okay, we're on board with Kimmler. Our current pole sitter right now, by about 83,000ths of a second. Flavio goes P3. Meaning we've still got the Brazilians up front. For the moment. Wilhelm's retiring in 17th, and there they will stay. With 10 seconds left on the clock, it looks like our final runner is going to be, I believe, one of the Williams. Let's take a look at that trailing Williams right now. It's Murphy, who is currently 7 tenths down on their best time. Definitely room to improve. Flavio sets a purple sector 2. As they come into Vale and Clubs. And across the line in a 1:34.5. So at the moment, it looks like it's an Aston Martin front row. Giovanni Santos goes P7 with a 1:35. It looks like Murphy's Law is going to be our final competitor across the line here. As Lundqvist is pulling into the pits. And that's a 1:35.5, putting them P8 overall. And that is, I believe, the end of our qualifying session. So, our grid as it stands. Front row, Lucas Yarn and Flavio in the Aston Martin. P3, Kimmler in the Alfa Romeo. Then Lars in the Haas. Then we have Fizimon in P5. Igor in the McLaren in 6. And then Giovanni Santos and Murphy's Law on the 4th row. Then we have Tazik and Jackie Jack taking centre spots on the grid. There is your final standings. Some people not setting any times there. Let's take a quick look at the race director. Just to make sure. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Thank you very much, Steen. Some invalidated laps. And some warnings. Doesn't look like there's anything that's going to go to the stewards there. As we get ready for the race. Now, this bit is going to be a little bit different. As what's going to happen is we are going to exit out and reset the lobby. This is one of the measures we're taking to try and reduce This is one of the measures we're taking to try and reduce the desync, I believe. Going to confirm with the race director. Oh, we're not. Okay. No problem. Let's bring it back to the grid then. So as we go for our formation lap, we have Lucas Jan and Flavio up front. Then it's Kimler and Lars, Fizimon, Igor, Giovanni and Murphy, 7th and 8th. 8th position, the furthest forward I think I've seen a Williams qualify so far this season. Then we have Tazik in 9th, Jackie Jack in 10th, Rafa in 11th, Firefox in 12th. A variety of strategies at play here. Some people opting to go for the fresh mediums to start. Everybody's going to have fresh softs as well, as they weren't even used in qualifying. So this changes up strategies quite significantly. So it looks like the Aston Martins are splitting their strategy. Then we have an interesting take from Murphy, who's going to try and extend as far as possible on the hards by the look of it. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. But throughout qualifying, we saw some definite contenders to break up the Aston Martins, and some definite contenders for taking the win here outside of our Aston Martins. They've been the ones to watch this season. So as they form up, the strategies here are soft for 9, mediums for soft for 10, mediums for 26. For 16, sorry. Or the other way round. In fact, you could extend the softs for 12 laps. And just be on the mediums for 4 as the 5th light goes out, and away we go. Lucas Jan leading the pack as they go into turn 1, and there's a lot of people going wide right there. Somewhat overestimating the braking zone. Firefox looks like they're holding on, as up front Igor has taken P4 so far. Igor's moved up the grid past Lars. Murphy has gained 2 positions as well. Tazik has moved up 2, and Fizimon has dropped down to 9th as we come round into Corps for the first time. 30.7 is the time up front, and it looks like we've got a close battle for P7 between Tazik and Jackie Jack and Murphy's Law. Up front, Kimler is closing on Flavio, looking for the opportunity to take the inside, and they have. Kimler goes P2, and now they're chasing down Lucas Jan. And Igor isn't far behind, as Tazik and Murphy do-si-do in 6th and 7th. Lucas Jan setting the pace at a 1:31.7 for the race. Igor right on the tail of the Aston Martin of Flavio. We know Igor has the pace to overtake them. Is this the kind of circuit that they can do that, though? Does this circuit play to their strengths, as Flavio is bearing down on Kimler? Kimler is now 2 seconds back from Lucas Jan. All of this infighting has meant Lucas Jan has got about coming up to 3 seconds of clean air now, as Jackie Jack moves up to P7. And Murphy has dropped back to P9 at the back. Lundqvist and Ramon are switching places as well. And Igor and Kimmler are side by side with the Aston Martin bearing down on them. And Lars looking to pounce. And it looks like the pass has been made. Looks like we missed it, unfortunately. Lars, however, is not going to be giving up that easily. 4/10 behind as... that's Tazik who went into the barrier there. I don't quite know what happened, but they just swerved left. It's a very strange feeling of deja vu as Igor moves down to P13 here. I'm surprised we haven't had some form of safety car from that, considering how much it slammed to the right. I'm surprised no one else had any issues because of it. Also looks like one of our Ferraris is out. Wilhelm has crashed out as well. Just going to check to see if our race director is there. It looks like no reported desync issues as of yet. So, battle for P9 between Murphy's Law and Rafa. Rafa's just taken the position on the softer tyre. Going to take quite some doing here. There's going to need to really push those apexes, and it's going to be difficult on those hards. There's not much grip there. Further back, there's a little bit of chopping and changing. Let's head back up to the front where Himmler is trying to chase down Lars Alguera. Our front runner, by the way, setting the fastest lap of a 1:29.2. Now 3.5 seconds clear. However, they are going to pit a lot earlier. Maybe they're going to try and make the undercut here. As Jackie Jack and Fizzymon go up to 5th and 6th respectively. And now, joining the rest of the pack. So, currently, as it stands, Lucas Yarn out in the lead as we come into lap 3. One True Morty gaining most out of what's happened so far. Going from the back of the grid to P9. Jackie Jack and Fizzymon. Jackie Jack gaining 5 places. Maybe a tactical move from Fizzymon to try and help their teammate through. Give them that slipstream. Give them that DRS. Speaking of which, DRS is live and active as a yellow flag shows in Sector 3. It looks like it's Murphy's Law who has, if I can, go and see as Giovanni's coming up to them what's happened. It looks like they've crashed into the wall just there. Ramon making the pass on Shentar. Shentar not giving up that easily, switching back. And now bearing down on the Alfa Romeo of Finale, who is right behind Lundqvist, bro. Lundqvist, who we've heard from on many occasions. Their aim is just to finish as the Alfa Romeo goes off. Just too hard on the throttle there. And that's what I mean. You need to be gentle on the throttle through there. Otherwise you are. That rear is spinning out. Let's head to our front runners now as Kimmler is closing on Lars, bearing down on them as they make their way through Maggots and Beckett's into the hangar straight, and what is going to be one of the biggest overtaking opportunities on this track. They are going down the inside and they are clear. They take it. And Kimmler pulls into P3. They're now just under a second behind Flavio, so they're going to have DRS next time round if they can keep it there. And they've gone wide. They've run wide. Try and keep it on the track. And what is going on with Kimmler here? Gonna keep an eye on this as Jackie Jack attempts to make the pass on Lars on the inside. Lars saying no thank you, taking the inside of this next turn. Firefox has been disqualified for going the wrong way. Don't quite know how that happened. Like they may have spun out. So 4 non-finishers already, and we're only into lap 6 here. Jackie Jack is closing down on Kimmler, and Lars trailing them, and Fizzymon just behind them. There's going to be a lot of chopping and changing between 3rd and 6th right now. Morty dropping back at the moment with Igor making the pass just there. Is Morty going to try and make the switch back? No, doesn't look like it. Igor seems safe for now in P7, but they need to extend that gap as much as possible before they hit the DRS zone. Out of turns 3 and 4. Heading towards the front again now, and there is quite the battle going on for P5. Between Lars and Fizzy. Fizzy is not letting go. And an early break here from Lars could see them both having damage. So putting the pressure on here. Putting the pressure on. Quite significantly. And Flavio seems to have extended the gap further now. So the 2 Aston Martins firmly in 1st and 2nd. Although Lucas Yarn on the softs, so they're going to have to pit earlier. The midsection of the race where things are going to be very confusing. Around lap 12, lap 13. As Morty manages to retake P7. Right on board with Igor and see if they can get that position back. It's not out of their grasp just yet. Down to 2/10. The pace is certainly there. As they come into the loop. And Aintree. And there's the DRS. Back wing wide open. And there's a train with Rafa and Steph Farrell right behind. Kimmler's got a 3-second penalty for running wide. Quite significantly. Igor has also taken a 3-second penalty there. Didn't see the offending move, but I think all they need to do now is just knuckle down and see if they can make the best of what they can on circuit. They're going on the inside, and a very easy pass through that fast right-hander there, taking P7. Lucas Yarn now coming into the pits on lap 9. And Fizzymon is now P4 with Lars right behind them. Managing to make the pass. on the entrance to the pit lane. Maybe the hold up there caused some issues as... Oh! A 10-second penalty for Igor! Exceeding track limits! StarCraft getting a 3-second penalty as well. Penalties all over the shop right now. Does Igor have damage? They've retired. It looks like... It looks like it was a little too much for them and they've bowed out of the race. So Fizzymon now keeping in the slipstream of Jackie Jack with Lars right behind them. Then there's a gap to the One True Morty. Steph making the pass on Rafa on the softer tyre before pulling into the pit lane. So up front it's Flavio on the mediums. Then we have Kimmler, who is a second and a half back. Then it's about another second and a half to Jackie Jack. And then Fizzymon in the slipstream of Jackie Jack there with Lars right behind them. Then quite the gap to P6, the One True Morty. As I said, a pit stop here costs about 30 seconds of time. It is the most costly pit stop on the entire calendar. I'm going to quickly double check something, so bear with me. Okay. I don't know what's causing that. Apologies if there's any visual distortion right now. It doesn't seem to be on my end. It might be the encoder. I apologize for that. Anyway, back to the race at hand. Fizzymon is technically P2 right now, as Goku takes a 3-second penalty. That is quite some latency I'm getting there. The True Morty pulling into P5 after Jackie Jack heads into the pits for their first stop. Lucas Yarn sets the fastest time of the race so far, a 1:28.6 on the mediums as they take P8. Pardon me. And it looks like we're into the first pit cycle. Starcraft and Lundqvist into the pits now. So where are our battles? Well, for a lot of people at the moment, it's going to be out about the under or overcut right now. Closest on-track battle is between Ramon and Jackie Jack, but Ramon yet to stop, and those softs are going to start wearing thin fairly shortly. As I think they already are. Ramon may be boxing this lap. We head up front as Lars is accordioning between half and a third of a second behind Fizzymon in the Alpine. Gentar takes the pit, which means that Lucas is provisional pole right now, and is right behind the One True Morty on track. With Jackie Jack provisionally P2. Of course, this will all shake out once everybody makes their first stop. Lucas making the pass on Morty, and Kimmler has retired. Let's see if we can get a better look at what happened there, as there's a full virtual safety car. It looks like they slammed into the wall. Coming out... Sector 2. Looks like they had a bit of an issue out of Cops into Maggots and Beckett's. Front runners now in the pit, so Rafa is provisionally, well, is currently leading the way through our virtual safety car. A lot of people are probably going to be taking advantage of this. Might be the closest we get to a proper safety car tonight, considering how much of a runoff there is in most of the circuit. So as it stands, it looks like we have Flavio up front. Drive-through penalty for Rafa for speeding under safety car, and a 3-second time penalty for Steph there. For speeding in a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Was that 2 penalties on the bounce? It was. That's unfortunate. So with that drive-through... Oh, it's going to be painful for Rafa right now. Absolutely painful. Because they've got to come through, do their drive-through, go back out and come back into the pits to do their tyre change. So Morty still to stop. Making those mediums stretch a little bit longer. Looks like they were probably going to lap 14 or 15 to try and get the most out of the softs on their final stint. So as it stands, Flavio up front. Then 3 seconds back, it's Lucas Yarn. Morty yet to pit. Lars is currently strategic P3. Then 6/10 behind them, it's Fizzy. 7 whole seconds further back, it's Jackie Jack. Ramon has pitted, which means Giovanni Santos is next in line. And then it's Shentar. Although, going to be interesting to see how these penalties shake out at the end. So our closest battle on circuit at the moment is Lars Alguera. Ramon is coming out of the pit lane. They come out P11. Morty and Rafa now the only ones to pit. Rafa has got to do it twice though, because of that drive-through penalty that they incurred for speeding under the safety car. As Lars makes the pass on Morty. And those mediums are not up to the task right now. They're not going to keep position. So, Rafa is pitting for their drive-through penalty as Flavio sets the fastest lap. Morty opting to stay out here. With Fizzymon just behind them. Morty taking a quite significant cut there. Maybe now is the time to come in. Because if you couldn't make that turn, those mediums are gone. Up front, Flavio looking to set another fastest lap. 27.9 through Sector 1. And Lars is closing the gap on Lucas Yarn. Down to less than a second. Is Lucas saving energy here? Well, it looks like Lars is on to set a fast lap here. 27.8 through Sector 1, 36.2 through Sector 2 as Fizzymon overtakes the one true Morty. Within half a second, almost. Lundqvist takes a 3-second penalty for going wide. And that's the fastest lap of the race from Lars there. 1:28.17. 13 hundredths faster. As it looks like one of our Mercedes has come off. Starcraft, I believe. Went a bit wide there. Through Woodcote and Lovefield. They're having a lot of trouble keeping it on the circuit. Have they've pitted? Have they got damage? Their front wing's gone. That's why they're going to be coming in for another pit. Up front, Lars is closing in. On the Aston Martin of Lucas Jan. Keeping it tight. And they've made the pass. They've made the pass as Starcraft gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Because no front wing, you can't brake as hard. So Lars, P2 on track at the moment. Remains to be seen if they can extend that to P2 overall. Lucas Jan now 6/10 back. Lars probably hoping that Lucas makes some sort of mistake here. Gets some sort of penalty for it. Morty still to pit by the look of it. Going long. 16 laps in. Giovanni's going to have to pit again. Starcraft takes another 3-second penalty for their woes. Not that it's going to matter too much being 30 seconds behind the next runner. Lucas Jan now closing the gap down to less than half a second through the DRS zone of the Hangar Straight. Keeping it incredibly close through Vale and Club. But Lars seems to be quicker off the line and extends it back to more than half a second. Elsewhere on the grid, Steph is starting to catch up to their teammate Ramon. Though they've got 8 seconds of time penalties to worry about. And it looks like Rafa is on for a fastest lap. We've got a time penalty, but it isn't invalid. 27.7 through Sector 1. A 36.5 through Sector 2. A fairly respectable time here. They're not going to be making up much in terms of the gap. And they're going incredibly wide through that turn. They're taking a lot of curb through there. Back up front, and it has closed up between Lucas Jan and Lars. As they come around Vale and Club for the 18th time this race. 8 laps to go. And it is very close up front. Leader out by a full 5 seconds here. As we see Lucas closing the gap with the help of that DRS, going into Village and Loop. Wait, nope, that's not Village and Loop, that's the other one. Brooklands and Luffield and Woodcut. Let's ride on board. Oh, hold on. There. Hard on the brakes, DRS on last, and the rear wing is open. Gaining a lot of time down here, has to be said. Almost 3/10 through that DRS zone alone. Apologies for that. Minor sneeze. So what's happening with Morty now? Morty is in the pits finally, and they're onto the softs. Where are they going to end up coming out? Well, it looks like Giovanni has overtaken them. Shentar's far enough back that realistically they're coming out P7 here. Let's go back to the front where there is now just 3/10 between our two podium positions. Busy in contention for potentially in contention for podium here. If they close that gap a little bit more. Lucas not letting go of the slipstream, not letting go of Lars's tail end there. With DRS open, they are going to try and make the pass on the inside through here. No! No, they're not. They back out at the last second. But now the gap is down to just 0.2 of a second. But it seems that the Aston Martin's weakness is through those last 2 turns. Although they seem to make it back up, coming out of clubs. Coming across now, and it looks like, is that Finale who has spun out? Yes, it is. Finale causing a yellow flag in the start-finish straight there. Let's go back to the front, and I missed it, I'm sorry. Lucas Jan has made the pass. But Lars is not out of contention yet. They are starting to pull away, but they've still got 5/10, and they've still got DRS zone coming up. So if they can keep that going, and they are gaining ground, just into 4/10 now. And DRS is open. And we've seen what it can do. Almost 3/10 through that section if you get the exit right. Elsewhere on the grid, Fizzy is technically a 1.5 seconds behind Lars here. After all is said and done. Then on circuit, we've got a battle for P9 between Lundqvist and Steph, but Steph's got 8 seconds of penalties still to serve. As it looks like Lucas Jan is starting to pull away from Lars here. But but they're making it back up. Through Luffield and Woodcote. It seems to me those two turns, Brooklands and Luffield, are their strongest. Nice exit out of there. Sees them back into within 7/10. Let's look at the on-circuit battle between Steph and Lundqvist now. Which at the moment is more for pride than anything, but if Steph can get past and get a reasonable gap, as Finale gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and I think that's possibly going to be it for Finale as Steph spins out. It looks like they were trying to take the turn, and from our angle, it looked like that doesn't look like there's any damage. But they certainly had, it certainly looked like there was potential for contact or wheel-to-wheel with Lundqvist there. Let's head back up the front as Ramon is going to try and ghost through here. The P10. So, Lars is still chasing down Lucas Jan. 7/10 separate them right now on circuit, but there is that 5-second penalty still to serve. Steph and Ramon are fighting it out on circuit. Two Alpha Tauris. Ramon choosing to back off now as we head into 4 from home. And Ramon has pulled back by the look of it, knowing full well that if they stay within reasonable distance, at one point will be theirs. Up front, Lars is starting to close the gap up again. And as soon as I look at him, it's back up to 7/10. As we head into the DRS zone now, and it comes down to 5/10. This is all, of course, for pride unless something happens in the steward's office after the race. So let's stay with Lars as they chase down the Aston Martin through what is going to be our penultimate lap. Coming through Vale and Clubs now, and they are starting to close that gap significantly. And penultimate lap, 2 from home. Coming into Abbey, this is going to be a flat out. Then easing off as they go through Farm Village. Here's the loop. And that seems to be where they're struggling. They're pulling away. 8/10 now as we go into the first of our straights. Into Brooklands. This seems to be their strongest part of the circuit. And then Luffield, that very sweeping long right-hander into Woodcote and Copse. And it seems like they can't close the gap here. As they head through Maggots and Beckett's, almost pretty much flat out through there. occasionally lifting up the throttle just to make the turn a little bit more elegantly. And it looks like this is how it's going to stay unless Lars has something up their sleeve. Or maybe they're just planning to play it safe. Maybe they're not wanting to risk it, knowing that 5-second penalty is going to come into play. As Shentar racks up another penalty. That's a total of 9 seconds now. Oh, 6. Who's got 9? Oh, it hasn't added the 5-second penalty that StarCraft got. Okay. Or the one that Finale got. That's fine. So, final lap of the race. And there's traffic up ahead, and that might come into play here as we're rounding Luffield and Woodcote for the final time. Let's ride on board with our race leader, Flavio, as we go through Maggots and Beckett's for the final time this race. Lars picks up another 3-second penalty for their troubles. And the checkered flag is going to be coming out for Flavio, who's going to be bringing it home for Aston Martin. Through Vale, through clubs, clear by 3.5 seconds. And it's Flavio who takes the points. Lucas Jan and Lars not far behind. Fizimon, provisional P4. Then we have Jackie Jack coming home in 5th. Giovanni Santos in 6th. And the one true Morty in 7th. Giovanni celebrating in the usual style by crashing into the barrier after the race is done. Shentar will take P8, albeit with 6 seconds of penalties. Lundqvist gets points for Williams. As Steph tries to make the pass on circuit. But it might well be all for naught after the penalties are applied. Steph finishes in P9, but Lundqvist, after penalties, takes the 9th place. And that is the race right there. So let's take a look at your final standings. Drive of the day going to the one true Morty. At least in the game's eyes there. So there we see 2 Brazilian Aston Martin drivers on the podium once again, 1st and 2nd. Lars, P3. They're going to pull further ahead. So, those are your final standings. Anybody outside of those top 14 failed to finish. Let's take a look at your race director briefly, because I know that's critical to those of you who are wanting to make any appeals to the steward's office. Firefox got disqualified for going the wrong way. 10-second penalty for exceeding track limits. I've never seen a 10-second penalty for that, unless it was skipping half the track. As we carry on further down, but at the end of it all, Aston Martins take more points home, but has to be said, One True Morty with the fastest lap of the race, a 1:28.1, is going to be taking home a not insignificant amount of points for a reserve driver. As we close out now, let's go back. Let's get ready for our interviews. Where are we? Sorry about this. There it is. So, as we end the race, some interesting things to fall out of that there. I see we've got drivers queuing up for interviews. Let's just take a quick look at how things ended up. If things have indeed done the right thing. I believe that's right. Okay. Grabbing the results there. So, the Aston Martins taking pole there. Lars, a return to form, taking P3 after an intense battle with Lucas Yarn. The Alpines of Fizzy and Jackie Jack taking 4 and 5. And then Giovanni Santos in the Red Bull taking P6. Let's see who we're going to get in first. I'm going to bring Fizzymon in for our first interview right now. Let's remember to turn the Discord on this time as we bring Fizzymon in, our 4th place finisher tonight. Fizzy, what can I say? Absolutely astonishing racing out there. 4th place, and your teammate Jackie Jack taking 5th there. A bit of an interesting... we saw something interesting at the start with... Was it yourself dropping back about 5 places to begin with? Was that tactical, or was that due to some issue on your end?
That was definitely not tactical. I don't think anyone has that kind of tactic. No, what happened was I was going to turn 1, I was leaving space on the apex. I think Giovanni gave me a nice little nudge on the rear, which caused me to oversteer, had to catch it, and caught it off track, thankfully, but cost me, half a dozen positions, because I definitely had, who was in front of me? Lars. I definitely would have had him into turn 1 and 2, well, through turns 2 and 3, because I just had the better tire, and, might have made some inroads, but instead it dropped me all the way down to P9, so, yeah, this is an unfortunate start, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, in the end, 12 points going towards your team, and it seems like the teamwork has been prevailing between you and Jackie Jack, as Jack finished P5, and I noticed you were quite close there during a lot of the race, getting slipstream off each other. Was that... I'm assuming that's something you'd practiced during our time off.
I practiced Dirty Air. That wasn't really planned to just kind of sit behind him. It's just with how the Dirty Airs are on the track and just how it's laid out. It's so hard to overtake, and just the DRS train was just brutal, and so I just couldn't get around him. Being the fact that I was all the way at the back of the train, but I benefited off of a couple cars struggling up front, and then of course the safety car. But the downside is that you saw how powerful that train was once after the VSC and get going again. I knew that Lars was just going to get around me, so I figured no point fighting, let him pull me along, and I should get him on penalties. But then Piano was just unfortunately a roadblock that cost me it, and it's just racing. It just sucks, So unfortunate, but another P4. I mean, it's good points, and I guess I can't complain too much.
Well, it is 22 more points for Alpine, and it's going to help cement your second position in the team standings. What are your plans going into? Is it Hungary next week?
Yes, it should be Hungary next week. I don't know. I've never done a dry race in Hungary. Whenever I feel like I'm good around there, something goes wrong. We'll see. I'm probably gonna do a lot of wet practice and just hope for the best. There's not. It's one of those tracks I haven't driven on this game yet.
Right.
And,
okay.
Yeah. So like it could go either way. We'll see. If I can get another P4, then I'll be happy. Ideally, I do want to get that first podium of the season, but P4 is gonna keep banging in. I mean, I should be ahead of Igor again in the standings since he had his DNF, so I can't complain about that, and it should be good for me.
Well, speaking of the standings, let's take a look at where it places you at the moment. It looks like, refresh, with 68 points, you are now 7 points clear of Igor in the McLaren. You're P3 at the minute. It's a close battle between you, Igor, and Lars for that P3. Out of those two, who do you think is your biggest rival?
I mean, the guy I've been closest with on track has been Lars. Igor, but Igor's the biggest threat since he's got overall probably the best pace out of the three of us when he puts it together. I can't really put one over the other. I treat them both equally, just battle them hard, but fair, of course, and just play the tactics. It looked like today the medium soft did work because of that VSE timing. Because I think if I had time to pull on a couple lap undercut on the guys going medium soft, I think I could have been in a better situation. But it's just gonna have to be playing it smart, getting the strategies right. Today, it came out all right, I guess. But yeah, so it's gonna have to be, and just gonna battle them hard the best I can. Hopefully, keep getting points from them, and beating them whenever I can, and capitalizing whenever they have their bad days.
Well, we'll see what happens when we head to the Hungaro ring in a week's time. Thank you very much for coming in to speak to us, Fizzy, and hopefully we'll see you there.
Yep. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Fizzymon, everybody, our fourth place finisher tonight, who has now moved up to P3 in the league overall. Let's get one of our most consistent drivers in next. Steph, another points finish for you tonight.
Yeah.
Possibly not as high as you wanted, but a points finish nonetheless. P10, after accruing 8 seconds of penalties. What I didn't quite see what happened there with those penalties. Would you like to talk us through it?
All right. Yeah, it's pretty simple. What happened was during the VSC, I was trying to hold my delta, and I was a bit close, but I was still quite in the green, like half a second in the green. And then as I'm coming towards the pits, like where the pit entry is, the VSC starts ending, and all of a sudden, the VSC shoots all the way up to red, and I start slowing down trying to save it because it just changed on me. I wasn't even going fast or anything, and it gave me the drive-through, and I was right on the pit entry, so I just kind of turned right, and like Hamiltoned myself into the pit lane, like in, because I was like, oh, I got a drive-through. Fuck, let me just get it now. And I cut over the line, and that probably got me the 3 seconds. And I probably sped into the pit lane too. That probably got me the 8.
Yeah, it
So
happened
yeah,
so
just,
fast I couldn't
yeah.
tell what it was for, but
Yeah, just it was just the game screwing me and then me reacting poorly.
well, that'd do it, unfortunately. But it's still a point. It's still a point for AlphaTauri. It's still another points finish for you. You're 7 for 7 so far. And that consistency has the... I mean, unfortunately, you've moved down the standings slightly to P9, but still 32 points overall. And we have...
Yeah, not too far in the fight at least. I just need to... one of the things is Silverstone is not... I've usually not have the greatest luck in Silverstone, and well, this year seemed to hold the trend, unfortunately. But another thing happened. I was trying to overtake Lundqvist, and unfortunately, I went a bit too hot into that move.
Oh, that's what happened. Okay, I wasn't sure what happened between you two because I saw you two both going into the corner, and then one of you noping out halfway through.
Yeah, that was me. So I caught up to him really fast. I thought he would break earlier, which he normally does. Or I should say she, but whatever. And what happened is that I went in a bit deep into the corner. I think what is that corner named? After the hanger straight, the left-hander. That has a name, doesn't it?
After the hanger straight.
Village, is it? I'm not sure.
Hanger straight. Are you on about Stowe?
Oh no. Okay, then I'll get into the straight strong. After turn 4, the first DRS straight.
Oh, Brooklands and Lovefield.
Brooklands. Okay, yeah. Into Brooklands, I broke really deep on the inside. Just understeered a bit. Lund was surprisingly deep on the brakes and turned in, and it was mostly my fault because I was the overtaking car. I basically had a Vettel front tap of the wheel, and the car just whoop, 180, and I'm like, all right then. I caught up to them on track by the last lap because they had a bit of a moment on the rears, but since I had the 8 second and they only had 3, then I still lost the position.
Well, that aside, Hungary next week. You said Silverstone isn't your track. What about the Hungaroring?
Hungaroring, it seems that I'm able to stay alive most of the time, and my pace is probably okay when I practice. So, Hungaroring is a race where I've had luck on some races and not in others. So it will just depend.
Okay, well, our 10th place finisher tonight, but consistent throughout the season. Steph, everybody, have a safe drive home, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you around.
Let's get the other side of that story in, shall we? Let's get Lundqvist bro in next. Lundqvist, how are we doing? We just heard Steph's side of the story there. So what happened from your angle with that slight... It looked like a collision from my end, but it sounds like it was a very hard run into Brooklands that then both of you pulled out of.
Yeah, so we were sort of discussing it, and we sort of both concluded that's a racing incident, because so I knew Steph was on the charge and knew to accommodate him. So from my past experience in the context of that corner, I knew from experience that a lot of people just go, when they take that kind of line, they go tighter on the apex, knowing they are on the outside, they can't really go that far out there. And that's the assumption I went into it, so I broke a lot harder and took a bit of a tighter line coming back in, still on the outside. And from what I got from his side was that he got a bit of understeer, and the second that we tapped, I felt really bad because I thought I really cut him off, until I saw his point of view, which was a bit less dramatic than it felt. But yeah, like we just took as the racing incident because yeah, we're both fighting for the position, tried to interpret what Yoda was going to do, and unfortunately in the spin, and that's the thing I felt most bad about, because I thought it was going to be a tap, and you keep going, maybe a bit of oversteer from the both of us, but keep it side by side, go into the next corner, and then fight on the straight. But unfortunately, I was a bit sharper on that turn and got the nudge.
And just to hit this home, like 9th place, this is your first points finish of the season. Is this the start of a new trend we're going to see?
I hope so. I mean, I kept it clean in the first couple of laps. I don't know if it was seen on screen, but it was quite tight fighting with a lot of people. I think it was a final, and I think Jalapeno. I think it just basically got people around me. It was really tight. I was really just fighting to just keep it clean. I really just went for that, and then it was just head down, lap in, lap out. The only times I got caught by anything was when the tire drop-off came, and that was both for the softs, where my rear started feeling like there you were on the surface of the sun, as well as the very final lap where Steph got me on the very last lap. But I had the comfort knowing I would be able to stick with him for the rest of the lap, seeing as the last one he had the penalties. But yeah, it was just head down, consistency, and staying out of trouble.
Well, staying out of trouble has got you 2 points tonight. Is there anything you did differently tonight over the last 6 races that you're going to take with you into Hungary?
It was just that consistency. It was that keeping the head down. I really started focusing on my tires, especially once it clicked in my head that this being Silverstone, it was going to really impact the temps and the degradation. So yeah, it's only just the little things, strategy choices and all that. So it's just keeping your head down, staying in the game, and just staying out of trouble.
Well, it's 2 points for you, and a first 2 points. Hopefully the start of a long run of points for you. And we'll see what you can make of it, this new momentum you found, when we head to the Hungaroring next week. Thank you very much for coming in, Lundqvist.
Thank you.
Lundqvist, everybody, P9, 2 points. First points finish of the season, has been fairly clean throughout. So it's good to see it finally pay off for them. Finally, our last driver we're going to speak to tonight is our 3rd place finisher, Lars Algera. Is it Algera or Algera? Sorry.
It's Algera, more like.
Algera. Okay. Lars, a podium for you tonight, 3rd place. A very close fought battle between you and Lucas Yarn throughout most of the race. Despite having 8 points of penalties, 8 seconds of penalties to serve. Was that for pride, or is there something that you've got up your sleeve?
Well, those penalties, the 3 second was indeed my fault. I went wide 3 times. I think it was in Village, like around there, and then but that 5 second, I had my pit limiter on, went to the pits, and I was full throttle with pit limiter on, and it just gave me 5 seconds. So, yeah, if I would have passed Lucas, I probably would have got that one removed. But I didn't change the place right now, so I was like, yeah, I'll just keep it.
Well,
but yeah, it was
sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, it was a good race nonetheless. I didn't think I would get a podium because of the couple fast guys like Kimmler and Igor. They were in here as well. I didn't think I would get a podium with them in here, but yeah, they crashed out and stuff. So I'm pretty happy with that.
I was gonna talk slightly about that because we had 7 DNFs over the course of the race. How was it driving out there? Did it feel like there was a loss of grip through some of the turns?
For me, yeah, actually, like I don't know if the track was just a low temperature or anything, but yeah, I was kind of struggling as well. So I was like kind of keeping my cool and stuff, and stay behind everyone, not fight like with a lot of people, because I went from like 4th to 5th in basically like in the first couple corners, because I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna fight with Igor because I know he's faster and stuff. So I was like, I'm not gonna fight him. I'll just let them fight. Eventually, it was kind of good because they crashed with each other, the 3 of them, and Igor like spun around and stuff. So yeah, I was just trying to stay behind and not like push like a lot. So and it turned out pretty good.
So that finish, that 3rd place finish, brings you up to 57 points. Brings you within 4 points of Igor and 11 points of Fizzymon. Is 3rd the aim this season?
It definitely is. I know Igor is a lot fast, or not a lot faster. He is faster than me. That I know that for sure. So even if I get 4th in the championship, it's also good. But I definitely wanna pass Fizzymon in the championship, because we're pretty even on the pace, I would say. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just doing it for fun, to be honest. So I don't really care where I'm in the championship. Even the last 3 races like went horribly wrong. Like Baku, I spun, and Austria, I spun as well, and I couldn't start in France. So yeah, it was just kind of unfortunate, those races. But hopefully I can get some good results right now.
Well, speaking of good results, we've got the Hungaro Ring coming up next week. How are you with Hungary? How is your driving around the Hungaro Ring?
I would say it's actually pretty good. The couple laps that I already did on Hungary, I feel like my setup is not completely good yet, because I had some oversteer in some corners and stuff. So I definitely gotta perfect my setup a little bit. But I think I can finish in the top 5 if all of the fast guys are here. Then I think I can finish top 5 maybe.
Well, at the moment it's P5 in the championship, and then with yourself and Firefox in the team standings, Us is sitting pretty on 4th. Are there any kind of plans team-wise between you and Firefox to improve that over the season?
Well, definitely, yeah. Firefox didn't have that many good races the last couple races. Pretty unfortunate results, because he spun and stuff. So, but in Hungary he's not there. He's got some other things. But hopefully in Belgium he can do good. He said he's pretty fast in Belgium and Monza. So looking forward to those races as well, and hopefully we can pass Alpine definitely, and maybe McLaren. But yeah, we have to see if we can bring the results. If we can, then I think we can get 2nd in the championship for sure.
Well, let's see what happens next week when we head down to the Hungaro Ring. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us, Lars, and best of luck next week.
Definitely, thank you.
Lars, Algira. I've already forgotten how they asked me to pronounce it. It's been a long night. It is already 2:30 in the afternoon. So let's quickly go over how things stand in the championship overall after that race. I said after that race. Are you going to work? Hey, there we go. So as it stands, Flavio has caught up to Lucas Yarn. Now 4 points just separate them. Then Fizzymon, is that the right one? Yeah, that's the right one. Fizzymon goes third overall in the championship with 68 points, overtaking Igor after their 4th place finish tonight. Then, as we move down, Igor, who unfortunately crashed out is currently in 5th after not scoring tonight, which has given Lars the opportunity to catch up. They're sitting in 5th with 57 after their 3rd place finish. Then we have Jackie Jack in the Alpine on 42, who has managed to stretch clear of Giovanni Santos, who placed 5th and 6th respectively tonight. Moving further down, our reserve, Piana, who finished 1st the last time we saw them back in Austria. Sorry, no, it was back in France. Got the fastest lap tonight and P7 in the Ferrari. So we are going to be seeing more of them in the top end of the championship. They overtake Steph Farrell on countback, who managed to claw a point out of tonight's race. Tazik unfortunately crashing out and dropping 2 places. Shentar with their P8 manages to hold strong, taking home 4 points for McLaren. Then we've got Sabbath, who was unable to complete tonight's race. Rafa finishes in P11, which means that they overtake Firefox on countback, and then further down the grid we go until we see Lundqvist, who finally, after all of that effort, all of that clean racing, has got some points on the board. 2 points for Williams. Let's see what that does to the team standings. Aston Martin up top with 290 points, stretching that lead. 6 firsts to their name. The only time they haven't taken a first place being Piana that we saw there earlier. Alpine now surging ahead on 100 points. 23 points clear of the McLarens on 77. And then Haas in 4th on 64. Then we have the Red Bulls on 43, with the Alpha Tauris on 35. And looking at how things have shaken up tonight, the Red Bulls have pulled away from Alpha Tauri a bit. Then it's the Mercedes, who haven't improved tonight. Alfa Romeo also not scoring. Williams getting 2 points on the board from Lundqvist. That has put them in P9 in the team championship. And Ferrari languishing at the back on just 7 points. It's still a close battle at the back, it has to be said. Any points can make the difference, as Lundqvist has proven tonight. Up top, things are starting to widen a bit more, but we are less than halfway through our season here at Apex Online Racing. All that's left is for me to say thank you all for watching. Thank you for bearing with us with the technical difficulties that we've been having most of the night. I realise that the music loop has been coming through twice. I am sorry about that. I only just noticed. But all that's left for me to say, 20 laps on the mediums, yeah. All that's left for me to say is Thank you very much for watching. That's all from us here. We'll be back next week when we're at the Hungaro Ring. See you soon. And drive safe.
Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.